So I just dove headfirst into VO and been in acting classes. I've been working and stuff like that. But there is another tool set that you have to learn that translates for voiceover. It's pretty daunting at first. So especially if you're moving to a new place and you don't know anybody. I came across Courtney in class and I just remember thinking like, powerhouse, like just so talented. But somehow we just started chatting like privately in the Zoom.
We locked eyes in the Zoom meeting and fell in love. That's what happened.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jen.
And I'm Courtney.
And this is OneUp.
So today we have a very special guest.
I'm so excited.
As always, as you guys know, this guest is super sweet.
Oh, the sweetest.
Super lovable, sort of famous.
Oh, so famous.
And
imaginative, creative, all the things, disruptive, everything.
Yes. Very caring, will take care of you, and is also battery operated.
Hey.
You guys, welcome our next guest, Bimo.
Bimo! We love you.
We love you, Bimo. I think Bimo's having a little bit of stage fright.
A little bit, yeah. It's just kinda, they're just chilling there right now.
So
or maybe they need new batteries.
Maybe they need a new battery. So I guess while Bimo figures that out, maybe we should tell them a little bit about us.
I don't know. Do you guys want to know about us? Yes, thank you. We heard that. We heard that.
Yes,
and for those that said no, just move on.
You can move on.
So I guess today we thought, OneUp's been out for a little bit, our first season, and we thought we would interview each other so that you could get to know us. Maybe we'll even learn some more stuff about each other. Probably. And we'll talk about how we started OneUp, how we got to know each other, how we met, all of these fun things. So today's guests, I give you the one and only Courtney Lin.
And the one and only Jennifer Sunbell.
I love you.
I love you.
Yay. So as you all know, I'm Jennifer Sunbell.
I'm Courtney Lin, like we just said.
Oh my gosh, it's really early on a Sunday morning, guys. So
yeah, we're a little delirious.
She just got her coffee.
Got my coffee, so
we just ate a little bit of burrito.
Yes.
So, so Courtney and I met. We met when we were just trying to figure it out before we started. 2021. We met in a Zoom class.
Yes,
for
when
voiceover.
Everything was on Zoom for the pandemic, which was, lots of thoughts about that time, which seems like a million years ago. But I think what was nice about it is because everything moved online, we got to meet a lot of people that we normally probably wouldn't run into.
Really.
It was a lot easier to take classes on Zoom.
Especially if you were interested in voiceover. For me, because we both do on camera as well. So we both work in film and television as well. And so for me, I actually didn't start getting into voiceover till 2020. So there was a bit of a learning curve for me to figure out. I had I've been in acting classes, I've been working and stuff like that, but there is a little bit of another tool set that you have to learn that translates for voiceover. Yeah. So I kind of just, me being me, I'm like, okay, I can't do on camera. So I just dove headfirst into VO and built out my closet, and then I just started taking classes because I was trying to absorb as much as I could, as fast as I could, so that I could get going sooner than later. Yeah. And I came across Courtney in class, and I just remember thinking okay, powerhouse, so talented, so incredibly amazing. And I think either you messaged me or I messaged you.
I don't remember.
But somehow we just started chatting privately in the Zoom.
We locked eyes in the Zoom meeting and fell in love. That's what happened.
You didn't know. We just started chatting privately on the Zoom. And then we kind of we're just oh, we have the same agent. And it was and then we didn't really talk much. And then we randomly ended up in another class together.
Yeah, we were like running into, it was fate. It was fate, you guys.
so
but we were running into each other a lot in these classes.
Yes. And then we were like, you know what? We should have lunch.
Yeah, we should hang out.
Let's do it. And so we did. We went to the delicious Aroma Cafe. We got our goat cheese and chicken salad, which is to die for.
My favorite salad.
It's so
at
good.
Aroma Cafe.
So good.
All the Studio City locals know.
Yes. And then we started to just getting to know each other, and then quickly realized that we are more than friends. We're like sisters. And that was the beginning of
our beautiful friendship.
I mean, and you know, to be honest, for those who don't know, we also started an online school. It's a go at your own pace school for voiceover. It's called the School of Voiceover. And that was actually when that was birthed. It didn't come to fruition until, a couple
years later.
Yeah, a couple years later. Yeah. But that's how it started. So you just never know when you meet someone in passing how you're going to become part of each other's lives, how you're going to influence each other's, how you're going to support each other. We've called each other many times happy, crying. Yeah. so many
Lots
times.
of ups and downs in this industry.
Yes. I mean, and I think today we're going to be as transparent as possible because that's just, I feel like, especially those who do want to get into the industry. It's one of the reasons why we started this show.
Not just voiceover, like we mean like the entertainment industry.
The entertainment industry, yes. It's one of the reasons why we started this show because, and why we started the School of Voiceover is we want people to learn from our mistakes and from our trials and errors because there's many.
Like all of the spaghetti we've thrown at the wall.
So much spaghetti. And a lot of it just went blip, 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 blip.
Yeah. And, you know, it's expensive to throw spaghetti at the wall, you know? So expensive. It's very much like, you know, we sort of learned what works and what doesn't, and
we're still learning.
We're still learning, but like the value of leaning on your community and all
finding
this
stuff,
finding your people.
Yeah.
And we were like, you know what? This feels special.
Yeah.
So, if you guys haven't, check out the School of Voiceover.
You should. We'll put the info below, and if you're interested, we'll hook you up with a discount code.
Yeah. And then, we started OneUp. Again, I think for the community, you know, like we love entertainment. We love all facets of entertainment. So it's really cool for us to learn with you guys from our guests.
Yeah, I mean,
like BMO. Once BMO gets over the stage fright, and
yeah, I mean, I have learned so much because something that I'm wanting to get into more is I've written a little bit, but I want to get more into writing and speaking to a couple of guests like Mike Van Was and Colton. I was like, oh, maybe I should rewatch Scream now.
Yeah.
And to, you know,
with more of like a critical eye.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Not be so scared and actually watch it with more of a critical eye and see what I can learn and glean from it, you know? And we hope that you guys are getting that same value because I think for us, it's really important to give back because there are certain people that have influenced our careers and our personal lives and have been there for us. So it's important that we do the same for you because this community is so beautiful. And if we aren't supporting each other, then it becomes a very lonely path, a lonely journey. And I've been down that road. I mean, I almost quit acting, which I've told you about, but it got to the point where I just felt I was depressed and I just felt alone and, you know, I didn't feel seen or heard.
Was this before 2021?
This was before 2021.
Okay.
Yes. This was actually like around, this was 2018-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. 2017 to 2018-ish. And I'll just go into my journey really quick. So I actually started acting later in life than some people. But I went to school for electrical engineering. So I went to Georgia Tech, loved the school. That's where I met my husband. I met my
So it was worth it.
Yeah. That's where I met my brother-in-law, who obviously, you know, my brother-in-law, Patrick, who's back there chilling. He is one of my best friends. And, you know, I'm going to tell the story of how he met my sister because I think it's adorable. So Patrick and I were studying. We were playing pretty sure, Patrick, we were playing Super Monkey Ball, weren't we? I think it's like, that's how old this was, but like we've been friends for a long time. We were playing like Super Monkey Ball or something. We were like so frustrated with like trying to get through it. And then like my sister randomly just showed up to my apartment and, you're in college and the light goes out. You're like, oh, I'll put a new one in later. It doesn't happen for a long time. So the foyer in our place there's just no light and there's no window. So it was so dark. And like she comes in and apparently Patrick saw my sister and it was love at first sight. And I'm over here thinking like, how did you even see her? It was so dark. So, but that's how I met my brother-in-law at Georgia Tech, and my sister obviously married him. And now I have, my niece and nephew, and we all moved together. We're all into entertainment now. My husband he was just like, Georgia Tech's not for me. And he got into like, he was like, everyone tells me I should be a model, so I'll try this modeling thing. And he didn't do a single modeling job, but he went out for like a KFC, like a national KFC commercial, and he got a call back, went to the gym, went straight to the callback. He just was like in his like tank top and workout clothes. He was just like, I don't know, this had me like improv some stuff. And I was like, cool, and eat some chicken. So I was like, cool. And then he booked it. And so that's how he got into it. And then as he was building his like experience, like there was a casting director was like, you need more on-set experience. So, and I had met her with him. And so we went to go, she was just like, go be an extra on this show. And he was like,
this
cool.
was still in Atlanta?
This was, my family, my dad retired in Atlanta from the military. I'm an Army brat, so I've moved around a lot. And then the casting director was like, oh, just bring your girlfriend. She's pretty. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Thanks.
So I went and got paid, like, what is it, $150 for the day or something?
Listen, and that was a lot of money.
It's a lot. So I was like, I'll go be an extra. And that's how I started. I just was like, oh, this is fun. All I did was like, when they would say action, I would like, was in the crowd, and then I'd like walk across frame in front of the like 2 or 3 times. I was like, I'm done. Like, this is what I want to do.
Swinging those hips.
Yes,
like,
So I started off on camera, and then we moved out to LA eventually. And I did really well in Atlanta, but then I moved out here, and I did well here as well. And then I was like, oh, I really want to do musical theater. So now Jen. Jen is like, ooh, shiny stuff everywhere, because I'm also a singer, and I've loved musical theater. So I started down that path, and I did really well there as well. I got flown out to New York. I was like, got a call back for a Broadway show. And then I got pregnant, and that kind of put that on the back burner. And then things kind of just slowed down for me, obviously having a child, and, it was a difficult pregnancy, she's healthy and she's beautiful, but, it was rough, guys. Having kids is rough sometimes. Let's just be real.
This was Aaliyah.
This was Aaliyah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, my pregnancy with her was very difficult. She took all the oxygen. I could not breathe. That that Jordan Sparks song.
Yeah.
No air. That was literally me. But I had already started to see like Hollywood was trying to put me in a box, and both of us are both mixed. And so I'm half Korean, half white. My dad's a blonde hair, blue eyed boy from Detroit. And I started to feel like I could already tell that like people were trying to put me in these boxes, which I'm sure that you can relate to.
Like what's one of the boxes?
Just, oh, you're Asian, but then you're not Asian enough. So then it's like, okay, well, can you do Latina? I'm like, no, no. And so they were trying to
maybe
find...
before 2000 that was acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, before 2008, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yes.
2008, 2010.
But yeah, it was like they were always trying to like put me in a box, and I was definitely not white enough, definitely not Asian enough. And people would be like, oh, but you're ambiguous. You should be going out all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, how about you tell these people that, And so I started to, and then of course having a child, and I started to like just get really frustrated and get really down and depressed, and I didn't want to get out of bed, anything from my kids. But anytime she was napping, I was right there napping because I needed it, but also because I just didn't feel like myself, and eventually, I started working with who I'm going to have on the show eventually, DeJuan Johnson. And, my family was obviously very supportive as well, but I started working with like a career coach. And he was, at one point we were, I'm doing stuff. I had just booked Kidding with Jim Carrey. I had just done NCIS. But I was still so fresh. I was like, I'm done. I think I'm done.
Yeah. So can you speak a little bit about that? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they're in entertainment, it's like they think, oh, like if I just get the job, I'll be happy, right?
Yeah.
But then you get to the point where like maybe you do have a couple jobs. Maybe some of those jobs were actually really cool, really great, but you're still sort of mentally stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
So like, I just think that speaks to like, it's not necessarily the money, the bookings that's going to bring you happiness.
Right.
It's happiness you have to find in a different way.
Absolutely. And I think that is something that's really important to say is like, there's so many people who are like, if I just book this, then I'll be happy. Or if I book 2 co-stars and a guest star, and then that means I'm on my way.
One video game.
Yeah. If only this would happen. And then a lot of the times, I'm going to be real, like, it doesn't really make that big of a deal.
Or it's just so fleeting.
It is. It is. Or like when I booked Need for Speed, I was like, oh man, and it's a hit game, but they didn't really push the actors. So it wasn't like this. It was life changing for me because I got to work on frickin' Need for Speed, and meet one of my favorite directors of all time, Tom Keegan, and the cast and all the EA. But they didn't really push the actors, so it wasn't something that quote unquote blew my career up.
Yeah, or felt like it was.
Yeah. So I think what happens is we start trying to, and this is like in all kinds of entertainment, because I sing, I have music, blah, blah, blah. Or even just if you're not in entertainment, it's like you're like, if I can get this, I'm going to be validated.
Yeah.
It's like, then I have the stamp of approval. And one thing when I was working with Juan, he was like, well, what do you really want to do? He's like, you're done? Cool. Then like we can finish. And he's like, but what do you want to do next? And I was like, well, I want to act. He was like, well, that's your answer. And the one thing I started to realize while working with him and in my own personal journey and journaling and stuff was that like, I have to find my own stamp of approval for myself. I can't rely
and that can
on.
Be really hard.
It's so hard, and I still go through moments where I just had a conversation with you just the other day. I'm like, oh, it's slow for me, which is not normal, thankfully. But I was like, but you know what? This is good because I'm, trying to, and I'm like validating, like I get to spend more time with my family. I'm not hurting financially, so I can do, I can focus on writing and I can do this and this, and it's a constant battle that you have to go through every day. But then 2020 came and I was like, I had just gotten with I had like started working with Atlas, our agent, like a week before lockdown. And then lockdown happens and it was really kind of heartbreaking because I was in the middle, I had been working on a musical and it's such a beautiful musical and we did opening weekend and then we got shut down and then we haven't been able to finish it because it's, it's so hard to do live productions and stuff. And the cast is like, some have moved to New York and stuff. So I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to do this voiceover thing. I mean, I already had all the equipment because of singing. So I just had to build out my closet.
So you already had an understanding of like absorption, reflection, and
I did, but I still
mics.
I mean, I had a 102 and I had an interface. I mean, I didn't have, because for music, you don't necessarily have to have like, a dead room. So I was like, I did have to invest and get like foam and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, honestly, my first couple of auditions though, I just had like a shield and a blanket over my head. And the first thing I booked in like a week was like this 25-hour audiobook, which was really long. But I listened back to that audition. I was like, oh, it sounds terrible. But it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter as long as the performance is there, the acting. Yeah. But I just dove head first, and honestly, I tell people all the time, but voiceover kind of saved my acting career because I really was kind of done. You know, it was really, it's because it's hard, guys. It's really, really hard. I mean, and for people who tell you it's not, that's their experience, and maybe that's their journey, and that's great for them, and I applaud them. But I would say a majority of it's pretty hard. It's not very often that you come out to LA, book your first like series regular, and then you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, not unless you have great connections.
Yeah.
Which if you have, use them. And yeah, you need or like a lot of money because entertainment acting, especially, it's so expensive just to be an actor. Making no money, you know, headshots, classes, your website, all of the subscriptions that you need for the casting sites.
Yeah.
Like it's quite a large, like I know for me, pretty much the entire time I've been pursuing acting, my acting expenses have been more than like my rent and utilities, you know?
Yeah.
It's
it's a lot. I mean, because you and I think you start off in phases. You do what you can afford first, and then you eventually start taking the more expensive classes or working with like the more renowned acting coaches or whatever. But it's pretty daunting at first, and also especially if you're moving to a new place and you don't know anybody, and coming from somebody, because I know you have a similar background in schooling, but coming from something that like electrical engineering, which is very different.
Yeah.
It's, so analytical versus really tapping to your creative side. Sometimes it takes a moment,
Yeah.
And
so were you taking like acting classes in Atlanta?
So I graduated from college. And so how I kind of realized, I didn't even realize acting was what I wanted to do. So when I was at Georgia Tech, I did something called the co-op, a co-op program. So every other semester I would work for a company, and I worked for Kimberly-Clark, which is like Huggies, diapers, and paper towels and stuff like that. And there was one semester where I worked at a mill, a brand new mill. They call them mills, basically the factories that create the stuff. And in Beach Island, South Carolina. Now, let me clarify. It sounds nice, right?
Yeah.
No. It's Beech Island.
Oh.
Okay. It's a tiny, 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 tiny little town that has like 3 restaurants. One's at a gas station. One's like a buffet, and then like literally one more, I think. And the closest like decent restaurant is like 30, 40 minutes away. So I actually stayed in Augusta. But so I worked on the very first wet toilet paper machine.
Ooh.
Yes, I know.
Fancy.
It's so fancy, right? Your tushies are clean, partially because of me. So I was, helping with coding and programming, and I was given the task of creating certain parts of the machine's interfaces and how like people working the machines would interact with that part. And so most of the times it would just be like, if it's about, the water temp, it would be like hot, cold, and it would just be buttons or whatever, just buttons and like alerts kind of thing. Very just, pretty just, straightforward.
Yeah.
But what I did was I went there and I drew that part of the machine in 3D on paper, and then I drew it in the program in 3D. And then if there was a coil, I animated it. So if it was cold, it was blue, and then red for hot. And I just made it really interactive. And people were like, whoa, these are the coolest interfaces ever. And I was like, yeah, I probably should be doing something in the arts. So that's how it kind of started. But I was so far along in school, and, coming from, my family, like I said, my dad served in the military for 20 years. We moved around a lot. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. We ate chicken wings, frozen chicken wings as our protein for almost a year once. I've only recently, like in the last 5-6 years, been okay with wings. But coming from a background that didn't have a lot of money and going to a school where I was on scholarship and stuff like that, I was like, I had to finish from my mom and dad. So I did. I finished. I got my, bachelor's in electrical engineering. And then I went and worked as a receptionist, and then became a vet tech at a veterinary hospital because I didn't want to do engineering. It just wasn't for me. I couldn't spend I mean, I'd work 12 hours a day, coding and troubleshooting, and I was like,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to see the
You're like-
pinwheel of death anymore.
Yeah.
Or the yellow triangle of death.
Yeah. You're like, God, can I do this for the next 40 years? You're like, no, I don't want to do this for another 40 years.
There's nothing, I think it's the people I worked with were wonderful. And they're so freaking smart and so talented. The things they were, I mean, just amazing.
Yeah, but it's just not what you wanted to do.
It's just not for me. Yeah. I just want you all to know that, like, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. No, I say that because I had a very similar moment.
Yes, and we're gonna get there.
Can I do this for the next 40 years?
No, right? And so I went and was a receptionist. And part of it was to pay for when I was in school. I started, because I had to have multiple jobs to get through, even on scholarship. It's the only way I could eat. There was one semester I ate pimento cheese sandwiches for a week because that's all I could afford. It was pretty bad, guys.
I like pimento cheese.
Do you remember that? I would never eat it now. Well, I might for nostalgia purposes. But,
yeah, I think it's cool.
Yes, it was either that or Spam or just 19 cents ramen with some American cheese thrown in there. Yes. What you do to survive. But then I became a vet tech and I was like, ooh, I'm going to be a veterinarian and I'm going to specialize in surgery because that was really good. Like really good.
Yeah. So so you didn't need any sort of like medical degree to do the vet stuff?
So I started off as a receptionist, and then you can go to like places to learn more. But my doctor trained me to be his tech, which is basically like a nurse, a doggy cat nurse. So he trained me how to pull blood, how to do anesthesia, dentistries. I assisted in all his surgeries. So I was, and I was the closer. So I was the one where he'd be like, okay, moving on to the next one. And then I was over here, I got you, doc. And I'm like sewing. And I have to say, everyone would be like, she barely has a scar. And I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was fake. I was really good at it. Yeah. I'm not even playing with you guys. Like, I loved it. I to the point where like he trusted me enough. Like, he was always there monitoring me and stuff. But I would neuter cats on my own because actually a cat neuter is not. It doesn't have to be sanitary. It's like the easiest thing. I could still do it if I had the anesthesia and stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry, little guy. Bloop, 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 bloop. Done.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then if you want to be a vet, obviously you do have to go to school. So, so then I went to then I started taking classes at Georgia State, which is downtown. And I was going to like do the whole veterinary track. But that's when I got into acting. In a way, I still love my animals. Guys, I just adopted a puppy. So I have 2 dogs and a cat now. But this is the path for me. And it just goes to show you never know what's going to lead you here. And I know that was a really long backstory, but it's part of it.
It's important.
It is because I want people to know that like all of that stuff though plays into my acting, Yeah, and it plays into my life, my story.
Yeah, and I was gonna say because I think people like there's something about the pursuing acting where you always feel like you're behind, right?
Always. Even now, I'm like, I'm not where I should be.
Yeah, you always feel like you're running behind. There's always someone who started before you, like there's always someone else, but like you can do this from any age.
Yes.
Yes. You don't have to start when you're a child.
No, it's true. You don't. And finding it later in life, it was harder again because of all of the gremlins. My gremlin, I have a name for my gremlin. Her name is Patty. No offenses to any Patty out there. She just happens to be a Patty. But Patty talks a lot sometimes. And it's really hard to shut
Patty's
Patty
loud.
up. Patty is so loud sometimes. But it's amazing how just having lived this life and been through a lot. I mean, I'm not sharing everything, obviously. This is where I get emotional because I always do. But just living this life and going through what I have gone through, and I know each and every person out there has gone through their own trials, their own tribulations, their own ups and downs. But to be here with you and to be where I am with my family, and it's still not perfect, I still get sad sometimes when I don't book something, or when things don't go right, the way I think it should, or go for my kids where I'm like, I wish they got what they wanted all the time, but that's just not life. And the more I embrace all of the hard times and stuff like that, the more joy comes, because just like Inside Out, you cannot have joy without sadness, you know? And that to me is important. I think that's important to remember wherever you are in your journey, in whatever path you're going forth, you know? And I think it's a big reason why we created the School of Voiceover and why we created OneUp, you know, because sharing these stories is important.
Yeah.
So, because you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You know? So, yeah, that's just like in a quick, sort of long nutshell.
Yeah.
What I've been through and how I got here, and there's still more work to be done.
Always.
And
did you ever have like sort of a breakthrough moment in your? I mean, there's probably more than one, but if you can give the listeners like a little example of a breakthrough moment, like career-wise.
I think for me, obviously there's many moments. You know, like I remember booking the lead in an independent film, and I remember thinking back to that audition, and I just remember being so locked in and just like not giving an F about what other people had done or what are their choices, you know. But more recently, having my kids is the first time and the second time really kind of like each time kind of like leveled up my connection with myself. And I think that's super important, being able to access my emotions and those places that I don't necessarily want to go to, and understanding like that the darkness and the light is part of me, and what makes me me. If we're talking specifically acting, like I said, during COVID, I started taking classes to kind of just to, again, bridge the gap between on camera and behind the mic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can do a lot with your eyes on camera, but you can't really do that behind the mic. You can, but they don't know what's happening.
It's the breath work.
It's the breath work and the little like
at the forefront.
Yes. And so I was taking classes, and I started working. I took a class with Tom Keegan. And I remember being in that class and working with the director who he really truly honed into each person individually. And I felt when he would work with me, he would say things that I'm like, how did you know that would be my quote unquote tap in moment, right? That's what's going to lock me into this particular character or scene. And I just remember there was this one character that I chose. He's like, why did you choose this one? I was like, because nobody would ever cast me as this. And it was, you know, it was like a boss from like one of the Resident Evils. It was like gluttony or something. And so it was like this, you know, just eating and like all just like not me, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, because I'm, you know, because even now I get stuck in my head, oh, what box are they trying to put me in?
Yeah.
That's a big...
How are they going to perceive me?
Yes, it's a big thing for me that I have to work on every single day, guys.
Same.
Yes, it's a daily challenge for me. And I kept thinking, you know, and I let him know. And he was like, and I just remember being like, but this is class. I don't care. I'm just going to go balls to the walls and just...
Try something.
Because it was a very disgusting character.
Yeah.
Like, she's throwing up, like she's screaming, she's crying. Like I just did not let myself filter myself. And I think that's what really helped me. I just realized, like, why am I judging myself before I even do it?
Yeah.
Why am I saying that's not going to work? They're not going to like that. That's stupid. You're going to sound terrible. That's not a strong choice. I just went all out, and he was like, why would you say you couldn't book this? You absolutely could book this. And I was like, yeah, but in my head, I was like, well, she's like a Southern white girl or whatever. He's like, I don't care. Like, they can change that if they really want to. Or, you know, for voiceover, it's not as, you know, I lived in Georgia, so I'm like, it's there. I know a bit about that too.
Yeah.
But I just kind of just, I was crying and I just allowed myself to just feel everything. It was kind of like a Neo moment for me. You know what I'm talking about? When you first get and everything's just like, it's all brand new and you can he can see everything and he's like, you can see the code and it's just like, that's kind of how I felt. I don't know. It was the most freeing I'd ever been, eating a hot dog and then throwing up and then crying that I didn't eat my hot dog. So I don't know. It's not super in depth, but I think it was also feeling safe enough to do that.
Yeah. And like I would say, like for like people who may be searching for that kind of breakthrough, it's not something that can be manufactured. No. It's very organic. And I think it's important to constantly seek out coaches and advisors who bring who have the ability to bring those moments out. And I think when you find that person, it's pretty immediate that it's that person.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean it's always going to be that person. Like you might have like a breakthrough with one coach and then 2 years later you feel it's time to move on, find a new coach, find another breakthrough. But you sense it, you sense it in the work. Like if you're actually really trying to do the work and then you just happen to get paired with a coach who can walk you through that. And if you have that, if you get that, you have that feeling, grab onto it and ride it out and continue training with that person, and see what other things you can mine and then find someone else and continue doing that. And you will be able to find it over and over.
Sometimes you have like people for certain things, you know what I'm saying? It's not like one be all, it's like, honestly, that's how I felt when because I've known Camille Chen, who's been a guest on our show many, many years. We took acting class together, but I didn't know she was a coach until one day she told me something. I don't even know how that happened, but so I was like, oh, I'll go tape with you. And then I was like, oh, she gets me. Yeah. We're like the same person. And now I do everything with her, as much as I can, So I think I'm really happy you brought that up because just because someone says, especially if you come out to Hollywood or someone touts himself to be like, oh, I'm the coach to the stars or whatever, that does not mean that they're for you. I've experienced that personally where a very well-known, some would say renowned acting coach here in LA told me, I know what your problem is. Your speaking voice is terrible. You need to speak like you sing, to my face. Yeah. And I was like, and I had just moved to LA and I was like, I have a problem, first of all, and it's my voice, which it's just my voice. I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah, I've been told that too. Yeah. Just my natural voice. I'm like, this is how I talk though. And there's other people who sound like me. Yes. Too, and it's just how we talk.
Yes. That's just how you talk. And they are not for you. Just know that, okay? Yeah. They are not for you.
And find yourself someone new.
Yes. Find yourself someone new. Yeah. But okay, you guys are probably tired of me. We'll have to split this
Never.
up. Never. So now let them know about your journey because you have sort of similar but different.
Sort of similar but different.
Yes. So you're originally from San Diego. Yes.
Yes, I'm originally from San Diego. When I was applying to colleges, I kind of knew I wanted to stay in California. I'm just a Cali girl through and through. Yes. But it's mainly because I was doing a lot of competitive dance in high school.
Oh, she's a dancer.
Yes, I was in a hip hop crew. Shout out Studio 429, which no longer exists. But I was in the sort of the underground hip hop dance crew scene, before it became popular. Before World of Dance was televised. It was a while ago. But yeah, so I was doing competitive dance, and then I knew if I stayed in Southern California, I'd be able to dance with any of the LA dance teams,
which probably are so good.
Yeah. So I was I have to stay in LA because we're the best. Or I could go to the Bay Area, but then my mom would be upset with me. So I was SoCal, and so I knew I wanted to stay in Southern California. So I ended up going to Occidental College and I was on a dance crew called GRV. Shout out GRV. While I was doing that, and I was like also pursuing like a pre-med program. I was a psychology neuroscience major.
I thought I was electrical engineering. Okay.
No, I was just like a nerd who knew a lot of facts about brains and enjoyed looking at them under a microscope. It was just, but it was interesting because it's like I enjoyed it so much, but I never really thought about like what that would look like. Right. As a job. Yeah. For my whole life.
Kind of the same. I remember being like in high school and I took like a little like circuitry thing and I was like, ooh, this is fun. And then I was like, oh, it's not actually for me.
Yeah. So, and I was like, but I could always like do dance professionally because I'm here, I was like, I can do both, I can be practical and wild. So I was doing that in college and then, I was in an accident, before a big dance competition. We used to have these things called Hell Week, which is where we would rehearse 40 hours a week. And I did this on top of being a full-time student, on top of being on a scholarship, which meant I had to maintain my grades, on top of working as a babysitter. I worked on campus on an art segment to like make money. Like, you needed the side jobs.
So many side jobs. Yours sound much cooler than mine, though. I was like the accounting assistant and I was like crunching numbers and then I worked at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Yours sound way more fun than mine.
I was like, whatever I needed to do to make money.
But that's true. You do whatever. And even now, guys, whatever you need to do to make ends meet, that is important. Okay, like it's okay. Do not shun.
Roof and food comes first.
Yes.
So I was doing all that. I was also like running a giant dance club. We had like 300 members. I was doing the most in college.
I don't even know where she has the time. I'm over here.
I don't know. Honestly, I truly don't know how I did it. But the reason I was able to do it was because I was doing it in spite of my parents who when I went to college were like, oh, like you can't dance anymore. Like we know you're incapable of maintaining your grades and doing dance. And which resulted me going, you don't understand. Like the classic like teenager, like screaming at her parents how they just don't understand her. And so, so to prove them wrong, I did all of that to the nth degree. And I was successful. But anyways, so I was in an accident.
Like while dancing type
While
of
dancing,
thing?
yeah.
What happened? I'm kind of curious. Like, how did that,
so
were you being like thrown?
From just the years of doing like when I say like 40 hours a week, that's like we would start at 8 p.m. and finish at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
And then I would have exams and class the next day sometimes,
You guys didn't do it during finals week though.
Oh yeah. They didn't care. They were like, you signed up for this. I'm like,
that is insane to me. Yeah. I just remember like finals week, sometimes sleeping 1 hour a night.
Yeah, well, because not everyone on GRV was in college. Only some of us were.
I see. No wonder
so for them,
like,
they're like, who cares?
Wow.
So I was in an accident because I think my body was just like really tapped out. It turns out I have a spinal degenerative disorder thing happening in my like lower back area from all the dance practice. Right. But we were doing this one, like a chair dance where we had to like snap up from being in a bent over position really quickly. And we didn't have enough chairs that day. So someone had brought like a lawn chair, which like there's like no support in those. This, like dips where you sit down. So I remember I snapped up and I felt like a literal bolt of electricity shoot up my spine, like all the way up to my neck. And then my entire like neck area and upper back like froze. And I snapped up and everyone's like, they're like tutting, they're like doing all this, all this stuff. And I'm just like looking around with my eyes and like starting to like really panic because I could not move.
Oh my God. So
and then eventually I started hyperventilating, probably crying. And then they had to like stop practice and like I couldn't move. So they had to pick me up and lay me on the floor. Luckily.
I wonder if that was okay. Because usually you're not supposed to move, right?
Yeah, but I was like, they didn't know what to do with me, but I was like stuck in this position. And basically the bottom half of my body had become like partially paralyzed. And so luckily
I didn't even know this, guys. I knew she had something happen, but I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, super fun. Anyways, so
She said
someone came pick me up, took me to the hospital. They had to shoot me up with all these like muscle relaxants and Vicodin.
Your body
and all this
just
stuff.
like seized.
Yeah, my body seized and I like lost mobility.
Wow.
And then after that, I realized I was like, okay, I don't think I can do this like this anymore. It's too much on my body. Not built for this. And I was really sad because up until then, like dance had been like such a huge part of my identity. And I went through this whole thing that was like, well, if no dance, who is Courtney? Courtney, no real life without dance.
And
Courtney,
I think that's the thing
out.
that we do. We attach our identity to whatever we're good at or whatever's happening in that moment.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case.
Out. Yeah. And so then I had to sort of like let go of the idea of like pursuing dance further. And so my senior year of college, right before senior year, I worked in a rat lab. And it was just me and the rats mostly. Didn't see I was the only person in the rat lab. Helped like raise them and prep them. And then that
Did you name
summer,
one Pinky and one Brain?
Listen, they all had names, okay, which was a mistake.
That is probably the biggest mistake.
Because, working in medicine, I'm a really big, like, I love animals. I love animals so much. I understand that certain things are necessary. Like medicine, I understand it would not be where it is without the types of experiments they have to run. I was like, but I ultimately decided, I was like, I can't be a part of it. Yeah. I cannot do research.
Be able to do either,
I can't do it. I understand. Like, I don't want to, again, put anyone down, like who does this for a living. Like, if you enjoy that, that's great. It's just not for me. It's not something I could see myself doing for the next 40 years. And I was like, okay, so if I don't do research, I don't do dance. I'm almost done with my degree.
What do I do?
I'm like, what do I do? And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just go into surgery. I'll be a surgeon. And then I took a lot of time to think about it. I was like, hey, so if I'm a surgeon, it's like, obviously I'd be good at my job.
Yes.
But there's no surgery that has 100% success rate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, the type of surgery I was interested in definitely doesn't have a great success rate all the time. And I was like, what if someone dies on my table?
That was another reason for me too, because I wanted to specialize in surgery and be like the surgeon for like especially the hard case. And I was like, yeah, what if it doesn't?
Yeah, and then I was like thinking about like my personality, and I'm like, I'm a freaking crybaby. I cry all the time. I cry at everything. I was like, if someone dies on my table and then I have to go tell the family that their loved one didn't make it, you'd have to come for me. Yeah. It's like not, the family would have to rub my back after,
It's one of the hardest things, like working at the vet is like sometimes you have to give bad news. Yeah. You have to keep it together and like I know. I have the images flooding
thinking
my brain
about it
right now of all the cases that didn't make it or the bad. They're literally
and
flooding
I never
my brain
even
right
got
now.
to that point. I never did it, you guys, and I have those images in my head, and I'll cry about it, and it never happened.
Yeah.
It's completely made up in my head. So I was like, well, I'm almost done with my degree. I'm not going to not get my degree, right? Yes. So I was like sort of stuck in the same position. It's like senior year of college now. I was like, okay, well, I got to finish. All right, I'm going to get my degree and my backup. I was like, you know what? I'm already in LA. I was like, let me take an acting class. I'm here, I was like, it's an art. You're allowed to cry. So I was like, let me just do this. And then I went on like Groupon because I had no money. And I was like, where is the cheapest, closest place that'll give me acting classes that I can afford on my meager salary? And so I found a place and I sort of like dropped into this acting community. And so when I graduated, it was a really easy transition. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of trouble when they finish college. It's like, where do I go? What do I do? But because I had already sort of established myself in a small acting community, the transition was very easy for me. And then I started pursuing on camera, and I did some theater. And the more I did it, the more I was like, you know what? I could do this for the next 40 years. Yeah. And while I was doing that, I was still working like every job under the sun. I was a personal assistant. I was a tutor for several different families. I tutored all subjects, honestly. And then, because I'm a nerd.
We both are. We love it.
Lots of
We
biology,
are so
lots
proud
of
to admit
chem
it.
tutoring.
better
You're
than me,
welcome
though.
for getting you guys through high school. So I was also a babysitter. I babysat for many families. I worked with the nanny agencies to do like temp nanny work. I was a private dance teacher, so I was still teaching dance. I just couldn't compete anymore because it was too hard on the body.
Still doing like summer dance camps.
Yeah.
For till recently.
Yeah.
That's because that's something you love, though.
It's something I love, and I do love working with kids. But I was bartending too. And so like and it was the hustle. Like, you know, sometimes I would start babysitting at 7 a.m., finish at 10 a.m., go home, have lunch, tutor from 11 to like 4, and then at 5 o'clock, go to my bartending gig, finish at 2 in the morning. This is like very common for me, but I was so motivated. I was like, this is what I want to do. I felt like I had a lot of catching up to do, you know, because
and
it's
catching up, and she's super young.
yeah, I'm like, yeah.
You were like, what, 21, 22?
Yeah, I was like 21, 22 and
Yeah.
feeling like I was already behind and never going to make it, you know.
I same. I started at 25, and I thought like...
I've met some 16-year-olds who are like, my time has passed, like I haven't booked anything yet. And I'm like, oh my God. But it's because they're comparing themselves to the kids who booked when they were like 3.
Yeah.
You know, they booked a show when they were 3, and then it carried them. But anyways, and so I was doing this for a while with, you know, a little bit of a success here and there, but really what sort of blew open the door, and the door for on camera and voiceover actually happened at the same time for me.
Amazing.
And it was COVID, which is crazy because COVID, everything shut down. But what COVID allowed me to do was all of a sudden I had so much time, and I didn't have to do all of my side job hustle work anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this, for me, I was like, this is a golden opportunity. Yeah, on camera, they'd be like, so you can do Latina, right? And I'm like, no, I cannot do Latina. They're like, okay, how about Native American? I'm like, no. They're like, well, like, you're like not Asian enough for us. But like also in a purely white family, you also look off.
Hey, their mom, I'm adopted, or mom stepped out.
Yeah.
You know? One was specifically half Korean, half white.
Oh.
Because it was...
They'll just cast a full Korean.
She wasn't even full Korean.
Oh,
she
really?
was full something else, which is fine, but they were full Asian. And I was like, this comes around like once every, literally...
I'm so sorry.
Or they just cast Emma Stone. Love Emma Stone, but also, girl.
I don't know what project it is, but I'm sorry.
You don't know?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It's okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.